Throughout history, despite living in a patriarchal world, many women were able to change the course of political, historical, scientific, and social events for humanity. There are many women who have made important discoveries and have not received the recognition they should, forgotten, ignored, limited, or taken as secondary characters in men's books. History has delayed in locating the female image on its pages. Thousands of women from different eras fought against prejudice and proved that it is possible to stand out in a world led by men. They dare to take charge of their destiny and transcend beyond the context in which they live. With this, they managed to mark a before and after. They raised, sang, pipetted their letters and hills, each in its own way: education, science, fashion, literature, or political activism, and in very different contexts. With their own voice and identity, their names and achievements remain valid and are references for future generations.
That's June 1st, 1963. Television screens around the world were invaded by the smiling image of a human being in a spacesuit. The image was fuzzy and the helmet made identification difficult. Russia was quick to announce that it was me, Valentina Tereskova, who, at the age of 26, I became the first female astronaut in the history of mankind. I was selected by Khrushchev himself, and my practice of skydiving and my political ideology launched me into outer space. After my heroic deed, I rose as a champion of communism and a defender of gender equality. The objectives of the cosmonauts' shipment were clear. The Soviet space program argues that the mission aims to investigate the differences between the female and male organisms. Engineers wanted to analyze the adaptation of each other to an environment devoid of gravity. I flew in a solo mission that orbited Earth 48 times. In 3 days, I traveled further than all previous American astronauts combined. My triumph was seen as a positive reaffirmation of the Soviet commitment to gender equality, while women outside the Soviet Union took it as proof that there was no limit to what I could achieve.
Hello everyone! If I tell you to think about the inventor of the cinema, probably the first name that springs to mind will be the Lumiere brothers or Georges Méliès. It's true that they began with the industry, but their aim was a scientific purpose. My name is Alice Guy, and I was the first woman filmmaker in the world and the precursor of the modern film as we know nowadays. I made my first film in 1896 in France, and after that I directed and supervised almost 600 silent films. And I also directed, produced and supervised 150 synchronized sound films. Then I moved to New York and I created my own company, Solax, with my husband Herbert Blanchet. I was very creative in my films. I used a lot of action scenes and special effects. And I treat topics as the role of women in society. I was the mother of 2 kids, and after a few years, my husband left me for another woman. I couldn't cope with the company alone, so I decided to go back to France, and I never did a film again. Other men and also my husband attributed themselves the work that I have done, and until now, nobody remembered me. But you do now.
Hi everyone, my name is Dorothy Crabfoot and I'm known for having discovered the chemical composition of penicillin. I studied at Oxford University in 1932 and it wasn't easy for me. Girls couldn't do the same activities as boys. For example, we couldn't participate in debates. But my vocation was the experimental technique of X-ray crystallography, so I focused on that goal and I finished my studies. During my career, I researched in the 3D structure of cholesterol, penicillin, vitamin B12, or insulin, among others. As you see, I was a very important scientist at the time, and I saved lots of lives. But, as we all know, the penicillin recognition was given to Alexander Fleming. It wasn't until 1962 when my friends Max and John won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Then, Max pushed for me to also achieve recognition, and 2 years later, I finally won the Nobel. I became the third woman to win a Nobel Prize in chemistry along with Marie Curie and Irene Curie.
Nowadays, women can participate in a sport or in a team sport, but it has not always been like this. My passion for bicycles starts around 1900 when my father brings home a bicycle. I had never stopped riding a bike since then. Giro d'Italia is one of the most important bike races in the world, and women were not allowed to take part in this race or any kind of race. I really wanted to take part in this race, but I couldn't just for being a woman, and I think that's very unfair. My name is Alfonsina Morini de Castelfranco Emilia, and I am the first and only woman to participate in the male Giro d'Italia. I had to falsificate my name into Alfonsina Strada, can you believe it? In the future, I hope that women are able to take part in any kind of race and in any sport without being criticized or judged for that. I don't want any other woman to go through the difficulties I had to face in the past. Together, we are stronger.
As these examples, thousands of women throughout history have had to remain behind the figure of a man to be able to share their invention and discoveries. It's now in our hands to change this situation and give them the value and the merits deserved. We should fight against unfairness, and if we see something that is not right, we should say it. See you soon, and I hope you have become aware of this important issue. Bye bye!